Live slow, live it up, watching time go. Planning moves, staying solid to this cheat code. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. Live slow, live it up, watching time go. Making moves, staying solid to this cheat code. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. This how it is, the mission's Benjamins. And fuck the drama and the bullshit, we ain't little kids. My circle small, but my riders heart, they never quit. Get your money, keep it gangsta, solid, straight legit. Never switch like the real ones that die for this. It's fucked up, but this is truly how it is. I hope you're ready if you're picking this like full of sin. No turning back, I represent my vital to the end. Fuck the fakes and the snakes and everyone that hates. I'm not phased, I won't break, bitch, I'll never.
You are now watching M.O.D. Entertainment.
As we continue the countdown of all brown neighborhoods and, brown rags, or, with the title brown in the name, we actually have to be making our way to my hometown, the A1A Valley, San Fernando Valley. Yes, San Fernando Valley is home to another one of these brown barrios, which is, we have to travel to the city of Pacoima. In the city of Pacoima is where we're able to find one of these brown neighborhoods, which is the Varrio BSL. Varrio BSL translating to Pacoima Brownstone locals. Brownstone meaning as stoners. So Brownstoner locals, Brownstone locals. Either one is right. And it is, one of these more smaller neighborhoods within the city of Pacoima, because Pacoima has so many different gangs in it. You know what I mean? It's just like, infested with neighborhoods. But this is one of the more smaller cliques due to the fact that it didn't originate as a gang. It originated as a clique, because the Brownstone locals used to be a clique of the Pacoima Treses. The Pacoima Treses being the original Pacoima neighborhood, the oldest one, the originators. So they roughly started this clique around the 80s, is when this clique was established. And due to in-house beef amongst each other, and, having different, ideas of how they wanted to run their neighborhoods and stuff like that, and conflicts, the clique ended up breaking off and doing their own thing, you know what I mean? And this is it's not like uncommon that this happens. This actually happens, quite often. You know what I mean? A lot of neighbors have been through this, where they break off of the gang in which they used to belong to, and this is one of those cases. You know what I mean? So they broke off and they just went to go do their own thing. Obviously being little bit more of a smaller clique. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, they're riders, and their territory was everything that was on Remick. Remick and Judd, Remick and Fillmore, Remick and all throughout those back streets. I would have to say that their territory probably extends from Van Nuys Boulevard to Lauren Canyon, all the way to Paxton Street and to where the freeway's at. So everything that's in the middle, which is not much, but still nonetheless, is their territory. By the Numero Uno supermarket. Through those back ends. And yes, the Brownstone locals neighborhood is also clicked up with the Paxton Street locals, another Pacoima gang that's right there, neighbors to them. They've been clicked up already for a while, you know what I mean? And they run together, you know what I mean? Even though they're individual neighborhoods, they're clicked up, so they're united, they ride together, hang out together, you mess with them, you get what I mean? They just, they tag team. Obviously Paxton Street being a lot more larger than the Brownstones, but nonetheless, the Brownstones still have their riders that hold it down for theirs and continue to put theirs on the map for that BSL. Now, as we make our way up to Northern California, you already know Northern California home to several of these brown neighborhoods. Now, this one being a little bit different because although it has the same name as some of these other barrios that I'll be mentioning, they are not the same neighborhood. They are two different neighborhoods. Actually, more than two, but they're all their own individual barrios, so they have nothing in common with each other except, having similar names. Which is... for this barrio, we actually have to head down to the area of Santa Cruz. You already know Northern Santa Cruz be cracking, homie. You know what I mean? It definitely be getting active over here. You have several homeboy neighborhoods, over here, from MS to Beach Flats to all kinds of barrios, and including norteños. You know what I mean? And also home to one of these one of these brown neighborhoods, which is the Barrio Brown Pride Santa Cruz. Not to be confused with the other Brown Pride barrios. This is Brown Pride Santa Cruz. And they are, roughly one of the well-known sets right here in Santa Cruz. One of the ones that's definitely been putting it down for the homeboys, you know what I mean? They've been holding it down right here since the 90s. And, at one point they were pretty large. They're not as large as they used to be, but nonetheless, they still have real writers that hold it down, you know what I mean? I never got a wolf it, lie. You could hate it, you could love it. It doesn't change the facts. Facts are the facts. That's why I even put up some cases up here, right here, because I know individuals like to, yippity yap. But you can't, argue against the facts. Facts are facts. And their barrio is everything that's from, Chestnut to Jane. So that's like Chestnut and Jane, Jane and Myrtle, all the way to Laurel, and everything that's in the middle, which is not that much of territory, but nonetheless, that's where they be holding it down right there. You know what I mean? So that's like throughout Laurel and Chestnut, Myrtle, and Blackburn Street, and throughout those ends, and that's where they be holding it down. Close to the Depot Park is where you can find the Brown Pride Santa Cruz, and they continue to still be right there representing. You know what I mean? Although they may not be as large as they once were, it doesn't change the facts. You know what I mean? They still be right there representing. Now, as we maneuver our way to Vallejo. You already know Vallejo is definitely home to some of these brown barrios, and especially right here, the gangbanging is real, homie. It definitely be cracking in Vallejo. Should be active right here. You got so many different gangs that are just cluttered, in the same area. Now, obviously, being a norteño stronghold, but you do have, patches of homeboys, here and there, you know what I mean? So you have several barrios within this area. So this area definitely be cracking and it be getting active, you know what I mean? And this is home to one of these neighborhoods, but this neighborhood originated out of out of Southern California. It originated out of the southeast of Los Angeles, which is the Barrio Brown Brotherhood. Brown Brotherhood is a neighborhood that started in the southeast of Los Angeles, in the area of Whittier. Is where it was established. It's where they held it down. That BBH. Since then, they have had homies that moved to Northern California and started recruiting over there and planting their flag in the west side of Vallejo. Yes, that's the west side of Vallejo where you're able to find the Brown Brotherhood neighborhood. And this neighborhood is with the business, homie. They made headlines. They've been getting it cracking, homie. All kinds of shootings and all kinds of shit, homie. It definitely be going down right here, like I said, and this neighborhood ain't no chumps, homie. You definitely hear about the Brown Brotherhood. They've been holding it down right there, and their barrio is right there on the west of Vallejo on Simona Boulevard and Nebraska Street. It's where you're able to find the Brown Brotherhood barrio. You know what I mean? That's where they've been holding it down for theirs and been representing and still continue to represent for theirs. They're one of the more larger neighborhoods when we're talking about upstate homies within that area. You know what I mean? They're well recognized and well known. You know what I mean? At least from what I was told is they're roughly about 40 to 50 members to that barrio. And they still continue to be active, even though they've been hit with sweeps and all kinds of shit. You already know. But still, nonetheless, the Brown Brotherhood be representing. Another neighborhood that you can find also in the west of Vallejo, so we don't even have to travel far at all. It is also in the mix of the Brown Brotherhood. These two neighborhoods get along, pretty good. Like I said, the upstate relationship between homies, is well. In some areas, it is a little rocky, kind of like Southern California. But in other areas, they unite. They're one united, Southern United Raza. So they roll together. You know what I mean? And especially since right here in Vallejo, being outnumbered by norteños, of course, they're going to unite, and hold it down, amongst each other. So for the next barrio is actually known as the Barrio BCLS. BCLS translating to Barrio Brown Crowd Locos. Brown Crowd Locos is a barrio that has already been right here established since the mid-90s when this neighborhood was established. Another one of, the well-known large neighborhoods within the west of Vallejo for the homeboys. These guys ain't no chumps, you know what I mean? They definitely been right there representing. You also have heard of these guys because they made headlines also for, the usual, you know what I mean? Pretty much the same thing that like the Brown Brotherhood got hit with. They got hit with too, even there's been cases, where they got souped up together for them. You know what I mean? That's just how it be going down over here. Like I said, homie, this should be it be going down right here, homie. Should be getting real. You know what I mean? But the Brown Crowd locals continue to still represent theirs. Now, they may not be a large neighborhood. They're not as large as the Brown Brotherhood, but nonetheless, at least from what I was told, they're roughly about, 50 to 40 members as well. And they actually have a few rappers that you could scope them out right here on YouTube. They have several rappers, you know what I mean, with several songs that you could check out right here on YouTube, you know what I mean? They got like a few albums as well that you guys could scope out, for the homeboys, and they still be representing right there, holding it down for that Brown Crowd locals. Another barrio that you have within Northern California. Now this one is a pretty large neighborhood, only on the simple fact that it's located in several spots in Northern California. You know what I mean? And although it may be different from the rest, normally the ones up north, this is the same barrio, you know what I mean, just located in different locations, you know what I mean, which is the barrio Brown Pride Sureños, the BPS. Brown Pride Sureños is a neighborhood that has been well established right here in Northern California. Now, I don't know if it has any relationship to the ones in the San Fernando Valley. I don't know if maybe this was a clique of theirs that maybe broke off to Northern California and began recruitment. That I don't know. Although I do know that Brown Pride Sureños is located in several other spots, but they're all different. The ones in Northern California are the same. You know what I mean? Because you can find them right here by Terra Bella. You could also find them in Fairfield. Is another location where you're able to find the Brown Pride Sureños. You're also able to find them in the Sonoma County. You're able to find them right there as well. Like I said, man, bro, you're just able to find these guys, in several spots. Even in Vallejo, is another spot where you're able to find them. You know what I mean? And also, in more areas, spread out right here in Northern California. Brown Pride Sureños is definitely a set that, it spread like wildfire, kind of like Vicky's Town did, you know what I mean? Similar to that, it's just one of those things, I guess, and one of those neighborhoods that people migrated to, you know what I mean? So it is one of, Northern California's more larger upstate Sureño neighborhood when we're talking about homeboys. This is a well-known, large. Oh, they're also in Stockton as well. So like I said, homie, they're just, in several spots up here. The Brown Pride Sureños definitely be holding it down, at least from what I was told, is that in upstate California, they're about to more than 80 members from what I was told, you know what I mean? So that's massive when we're talking about, because obviously, it's in Northern California. And like I said, these are the facts. You can hate it or love it. Facts are the facts, you know what I mean? Never gotta come and lie and wolf it and everything like that. Just simply speaking on, the facts. So the Brown Pride Sureños definitely be holding it down right there for theirs and still continue to represent theirs. Now for this next barrio, it's a little bit different on the simple fact that this is not your typical barrio, which is the barrio TBS. TBS translating to True Brown Style or True Brown Steelo. True Brown Steelo is a Filipino gang that is located in several spots, from Northern California to Long Beach to the Philippines. They're in the thousands, you know what I mean? Roughly a very large gang, you know what I mean, when we're talking about neighborhoods. And this neighborhood, it has branches that are Crips, has branches that are Bloods, has branches that are Norteños, and has branches that are Southsiders. Depending on where they're at, where they're located at, that branch, of their neighborhood, that's what they represent. I know it's a little bit tricky and weird, because, typically you're not used to, that kind of stuff. But that's just how they run their neighborhoods, you know what I mean? It is what it is, because in some locations this neighborhood is Crip, this neighborhood is Blood, this neighborhood is Northern, this neighborhood is Southern. But that's why you see it up more as the TBS 13. It was the original ones, you know what I mean, when they first started. As a matter of fact, they started off as like a female gang, you know what I mean, then they started recruiting males. Other neighborhoods have done that as well, like Compton Barrio 3 as well. You know what I mean? So it's not, out of the norm to hear that kind of stuff. So it is a Filipino homeboy neighborhood. And like I said, there's several of those neighborhoods that are out there like that, like kind of like the Temple Street Pino Locals. You're gonna get some of those sets that just that are Asian, that just represent, because Asians and Hispanic, we come pretty much from the same similar background. When we first landed here, the mistreatment, the harassment, having to band together to look after our own, and we could relate to these guys. There's not that much difference between Hispanics and Filipinos as it is. I mean, some Filipinos actually get confused for Hispanics, as well. You know what I mean? And they definitely dig our culture, and our vibe. And like I said, you know what I mean? Anybody down for the cause, down for the cause. That's why you see, that TB as 1-3. You always see it as the 1-3. It's that true Brown Steelo, but that's what it is. It is a Filipino neighborhood, but they do have some Hispanics in it too, so don't get it twisted. It's not that it's all Filipinos, you know what I mean? It's mixed within Asians and Hispanics. And yes, they are large. They have branches, like I said, spread out, from Long Beach, Northern California, Filipino, you know what I mean? And all spread out to different cities in California. That's just how it rolls down with the TBS, the true Brown Steelo, definitely holding it down for theirs and putting theirs on the map.
Thank you for watching M.O.D Entertainment. Make sure you like and subscribe.